There are about 5 keys to cardiovascular health, 5 things that make or mar cardiovascular health. Number 1, obviously, is the health of the heart. Obviously, you need a strong pump to pump the blood around the body. So the heart and the pump has to be pumping regularly. On average, it pumps about 100,000 times a day. So it needs to work in a rhythmic fashion. It needs to work in a regular fashion. It cannot afford to stop for any period of time. So that's number 1, obviously. Number 2, you need adequate vascular tone. That's the arteries, the veins, the blood. The walls of the arteries and veins have to be contracting and then relaxing appropriately. So there are some parts of the body at different times, like when you're running, for instance, your blood flow has to be adequate to the limbs and it has to be reduced to the digestive system when you don't need much digestion going on. So there has to be adequate relaxation and contraction. So that is covered by vascular tone. You also want to look at the blood content, the content of the blood of certain chemicals, things like your blood sugar, your blood cholesterol, the amount of inflammatory particles, the amount of oxidation. We're not going to go too technical, but just remember that the content of the blood matters. Also the platelets and the different red blood cells and the white blood cells. How much? If it's too much, it's a problem. If it's too low, it's a problem as well. You also want to look at how well the blood is flowing, and that's related to the first 2 points, the heart and your vascular tone. You want to make sure that blood is flowing properly. If blood goes too fast, it's a problem. If it goes too slow, it may trigger up a cascade of chemical reactions that lead to clotting of the blood. That's why people who are paraplegic, people who are quadriplegic, who are on a wheelchair, people who are sitting down for too long on a daily basis, like you have an office job, you're sitting in front of your computer, you don't bother to get up. WHO says that places you at a much bigger risk of cardiovascular disease than if you are always up and going, standing up, sitting down, moving around. So it's very important. Blood flow is maintained. The 5th, and what I would consider to be the most important one, and the one that the average person should pay the most attention to, is the health of what is known as your endothelium, which is the lining. And if you remember from our last discussion, we talked about it a little bit. The lining of the blood vessels.